I look awful from this angle.
Okay, let's see here. I think it should automatically let my friend be the moderator.
Oh, look, it says that Unsheltered Phoenix started live.
Oh, on the Instagram, yeah. All right, so people are joining already on there.
Okay.
And it's starting on here now.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm gonna... Okay, and my moderator joins. Hi! Okay, I don't know how TikTok's gonna go. It's always weird when I go live. All right. Okay.
Oh, hello, peoples. We are getting started. I'm going to give it a couple minutes, but in the meantime, please send me any questions you have off the top of your head.
And that could be questions related to anything at all. The ice stuff that we're doing, the city of Phoenix, cops,
the water bin, how much Yasmin Ansari sucks, you know.
The usual.
All the good stuff.
I'm just signing in with my backup account.
Okay. And so if people type something, it will come up right
Yeah,
there.
so this is your thing here.
Okay.
And so we have comments right here. I think you could swipe. There are comments here. I'm not sure how to make it bigger. But you can just scroll up and see it.
Okay.
So right here we had one question. Good job with the ice. Thank you. We collected cans all weekend.
Yes, please message me. I'm trying my best to not post the drop site publicly for a few different reasons. Message me and I'll for sure send that address over to you.
All right, I'll double check and see if we have any questions on here. It's like, please forgive us. Both of us don't know what we're doing with lives. All right, so let's see. My friend, oh, there goes Patty. Patty asked, Sophia. Patty's kid's name is Sophia.
Oh.
All right, how many shelters are in Phoenix and how many beds?
I don't even know. Not enough is my first answer to that. Not nearly enough.
It's like, honestly, I don't know them all off the top of my head. What I can tell you is directly in downtown Phoenix in the human services area, I believe that's 500 to 600 beds within the campus. They added more recently. They have some overflow areas. The Sprung Shelter, which is 100 beds right there. So I think they have a total of 700 beds in that area in downtown Phoenix available. And the Sprung Shelter, if I'm not mistaken, is only for the summer months.
No.
No, has that changed now? Because it was last time.
The Sprung Shelter has been consistently open since it...
Oh, they didn't shut it down for the summer?
No.
Or during the winter?
It's important to know with shelters especially, like, it is not the goal that we are really reaching for. Shelters cost a whole lot of money to maintain, and they don't do anything long term. So what the city of Phoenix actually needs is just actual housing. We need housing and we need it to be affordable, and no like $1,200 for a 1-bedroom. That is not affordable. Yeah. Did I figure out who that cop is? Yes, somebody actually messaged me this morning, so stay tuned because I will put that in a post soon. Message at Unsheltered Phoenix. Yes, please message if anybody has cans they would like to give to Larry. Please message me. And it is really important that anybody trying to collect cans doesn't go too far out of their way to drop them off, because one, gas is expensive and it ends up being a little bit counterproductive. So if you want to give people cans and you don't really know who to connect to, my first bet would be to go around on a recycling day in your area and see, is there anyone already collecting cans so that you could just give them to them? If you do not find anybody, or you're a little bit hesitant to speak to people one-on-one this way, I would just leave them at a bus stop in a poor area. I have done this before and they are gone within minutes generally. So
for Simply Blendful, today I have a moderator, so if we get trolls in here, they'll get automatically just blocked out. I'm not fucking around anymore, so thank you so much for Patty being my moderator. But it's a very small, like that one, the last time I had 1,000 followers because there was cops and stuff, which we can talk about that incident. I never really that was when the last sweep where the person didn't want to leave their tent.
Oh.
So that I had a large reaction to that live because obviously the cop and me were talking and stuff like that.
Second to last sweep, yeah. That person had a mental illness. And was holding out. We are having puppy
Dog
shenanigans
issues.
over here. Hickama, don't you dare.
Our dog's trying to get into the litter box.
Yeah. Okay, so what services does the Justice Center provide? As far as I know, they're a day center for elderly people. I think it's 55 plus. But to be honest, I'm not really super well versed with Justice Center.
I know a little bit more. They have mail services. Mailing services. They have a food. I think at least 2 meals, and you can get kind of just like chill out in there. So I think they have showers. Don't quote me on that. They do have bathrooms.
They do have a couple showers, and right now I believe they are a heat relief space. What that looks like in relationship to their 55 plus guidelines, I'm not positive. But for a little bit of clarification, we're going to talk about the blue bin. What has been happening with the blue bin is it has been a main water source when all other places are closed. I'm going to spare you the reasons why people would want to avoid Cass and avoid the Human Services campus in general, but a lot of abuse has happened there. And so people don't really like to step foot on the campus in general, people who live in the easements and the dirt spaces. Hi, Official Murdoch. Somebody who has lived in the zone before, so shout out to you for giving your opinion and insight. I appreciate that. But there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to go onto the Human Services campus, and Andre House is the most beloved space within the zone. They also don't make it so you can fill up a 5-gallon container. What is a 5-gallon container? It is one of those big jugs with the skinny necks that people really use at their tent as a main water source, and it can be from anything.
This one's probably 5 gallons.
Yeah, it's probably about 5 gallons. It is not a huge amount of water when you're doing things.
Half a lefty.
When you're doing things like cleaning and washing your hands and trying to wet yourself to cool off, 5 gallons is really not an extravagant amount of water to use in a short time frame.
I just got an invite for lives because I don't know how to turn them off yet. There we go, decline. So where they're cutting off the hoses is at the blue bin,
Yes.
which is on the Human Services campus by the Sprung Shelter.
Yeah, for years there was actually no bathrooms whatsoever, and people were relegated to have to use buckets within their tents and dump them in the sewers. And I think like a year or two into Yasin's term and a lot of bitching, there was eventually porta potties put back up after they had been taken down from the COVID parking lots, but we can get into that another time. The blue bin has served as the only 24/7 water source for a while, and so people were using it, except for they were using it a little too much according to the Human Services campus, so their response was to push the blue bin back a few inches, which made it very, very difficult for people to fill any type of container. So if you can imagine like a pool gate, wrought iron gate, if you will, and then there's spigots inside of it just maybe 4 or 5 inches. It made it so that people were wasting a whole lot of water trying to fill their large containers. So then somebody had the brilliant idea, I believe it was a follower on Unsheltered Phoenix, to put hoses on, which was super simple. And we did that, and then they got cut off by Human Services campus, and then we did it again, and then they got cut off again, and it went like this for I think a total of like 12 hoses and maybe closer to 14, including hoses that other people put on.
Yeah, it was at least $100 worth on our side, and that's when I gave up because I was like, I can't keep throwing money at this situation.
And
like
also,
this.
we really were just hoping for media attention to have the Human Services campus be pressured into giving people access to water. So that is the story of the blue bins, except for as of today, there is a blue bin that people are allowed to use and allowed to access because of all of the
Pressure.
Comments, angry yelling, etc., towards Amy Schwabenlander, who's the CEO of the Human Services Campus, as well as pressure on Yasemin Ansari, which I cannot stress enough how much of failed leadership that woman is, and how much of a slap in the face that she thinks she can move on to higher government while having seen so much death. She actually is the city council member with the most unhoused deaths in her district.
We have a user over here for Official Murdoch who says that they've seen 2 deaths this summer already.
The deaths are really high. Thank you for sharing. It is very worrisome. The deaths are really high. People, as you know, I've been asking people to send over any deaths that they're seeing, and they're doing the same with Lefty. And I'm positive that this July month will be the most deadly. So the point of this live was to really help clarify the situation with the Human Services Campus and with water in the zone, and now that there's another blue bin that is not guarded by armed guards, we're very excited to not have to brainstorm ways of providing water, although that may come in the future because the city of Phoenix is just generally fascist towards unhoused people in general. I mean that word when I say it. I do not say it lightly.
It's like, obviously, the people who have been watching my media, because I post literally every fucking thing I see, is like, it's just been nonstop. I have just seen so many things, terrible things nonstop. It's like, from the way that these city workers are reacting to getting to throw shit, because it's like, I guess it's like a rage room in the fucking public. I don't know. It's like they're having a good fucking time doing this. And then, like, there's a person out there that has a couple of puppies, and they're not going into a shelter. They're moving. They don't want to fucking move. And here they are. There's a whole fucking squadron of people displacing them. And while they're moving their shit, they're all like, oh, look at the puppies. Look at the puppies, while the person's behind packing up their life.
Yeah, that particular person actually accepted shelter space on one of the other moves, and decided that it was not for them. And so they actually, I think this is their 3rd time moving because of the sweeps recently. And it really is just a game of whack-a-mole, because the city of Phoenix doesn't have any plan to give people a place to exist. The contracts for these shelters are not cheap. They're very, very expensive, and it seems to be the only immediate solution that City of Phoenix is attempting, I should say. Scott Hall is the brains behind these solutions, and he often brags about how he used to be unhoused, and has in fact cried in front of people who are currently unhoused, and still denies that the city of Phoenix ever threw away possessions of people, which is really a slap in the face, because so many people who had their entire livelihoods thrown away are still occupying that space, and Scott Hall is supposed to be helping them while at the same time denying their experience over and over and over again.
We have a question here on the TikTok. Is the Phoenix police actually understaffed? Because it seems like they're overstaffed.
Right. I actually was cop watching yesterday on a whim. There was a man sitting in the shade, just about a couple feet into a private front yard of a business off of 15th Avenue in Indian School. And I kid you not, 5 cop cars showed up and asked this man to leave. And they're up to bullshit when they show up 5 deep, all get out, puffing their chests, and then they have no arrest at the end. So sometimes it can be very difficult to try to figure out, like, what's actually happening here? Well, what we do know is that this man was minding his business. 5 cop cars came up, and then they let him go because there was nothing arrestable for it. So, yes, they are overstaffed, and they regularly steal our resources. It's part of the reason why we have such a high unhoused death count for the city of Phoenix and county of Maricopa. I love your comments, Official Murdoch, about how security is really just bullshit and how so many people don't trust them. A lot of people are banned from Human Services Campus and CAS.
Yeah. So that's somebody who I believe they said earlier that they have actually had experience living out there. So they're just sharing some information on the Instagram live about like how it's all terrible. And Riot Phoenix has chimed in and said, we saw them throwing shit away today. And somebody else actually, hold on. So on the Instagram and on TikTok, basically, we've got the same thing. We saw them throwing shit away today while we were standing there. We have to have them commit to saving someone's stuff by recording them, by telling that they need to save it. So what Riot Phoenix is talking about there is that they were there with me, and literally because they overheard the staff talking about somebody who was currently actively in the hospital, and they were just going to get rid of their shit. And then the Riot Phoenix person was like, nah, this person needs their stuff bagged up. And then we had to go and document it and let them know. That way they would actually do it. And this person talks about the same freaking thing. I watched the medic that walks around this morning, and he was showing tons of belongings and that they tossed. So there was somebody else who was like probably recording and streaming today.
Yeah, they threw away a lot of things, and it's important to note that would have never been made public unless there was a situation today where one of our friends really just begged the City of Phoenix crew staff, specifically Caroline, who seems to be the new Scott Hall in that space. He really begged and pleaded for us to remain with him and help him move his stuff because he was in a really stressful situation. And so normally that would have been completely inaccessible to all of us, except for media. They often make special privileges for media to come through. And media, of course, especially in the city of Phoenix, has a very strict pro-City of Phoenix policy. So I'm grateful that we were able to be there and able to hold them accountable a little bit. Like Lefty was saying, we actually went around and filmed all of the things that people were trying to save and have the City of Phoenix save for them, because so many folks have had things thrown away even after they were promised that their belongings were going to be saved. So we documented it and took video and have a record of it. And then I went up to Caroline, aka New Scott Hall, and I told her, I said, this is all documented. And if it ends up thrown away, like, you're going to be held accountable for it because I have it on record. And she looked at me like she wanted to kill me, and I walked away, and then she spat towards me. She did not spit on me, but she did spit towards me. So, yeah,
I haven't gone through all my footage, but there was one point where the language she was using where she says, we will handle it. And I challenged it. I said, the way that you're saying we will handle it is vague and isn't like, you're not telling me one way or another. And she just looked me straight in the eye and said, we'll handle it.
Yeah. So people who are doing shady shit become very well versed in language that is vague and open to interpretation. So it's important if you're going to be playing games with these political, bullshitters, that you really clarify and hold them to their word.
Yes, they spat.
Yeah, they spat.
It was like during a pandemic.
It was really clear. Yeah,
it's Arizona. Nobody believes in the pandemic.
They spat towards me. But let's have more questions coming, please.
A lot of times I don't follow the accounts that are in the zone just because they show people's faces. And if you've been following my content for a while, I'm like really against that. So even if they think they're doing great work, I'm just like not going to follow them. So I haven't seen that account. I'm assuming there might be some face showing.
Oh, Official Murdoch, I'm so sorry that happened. My mom lost half of her stuff from them throwing away her stuff and clothes. The last of old pictures of me as a kid made her cry when it happened.
I try not to.
Yeah. It's really important that we don't judge what people choose to keep with them, and we never know what people are holding on to and why they feel like it is purposeful for them. So I think that's awful. I'm so sorry. She is one of many, many people. I think a lot of people have forgotten about how the city of Phoenix was regularly having police come through and throw things away, things that people will never get back again, like precious family photos.
As to the recording, it's actually difficult for me to record everything. There was parts that I thought I recorded, but I didn't, just because like if there's 1,000 things happening, the phones overheat in Arizona, so it's like a combination of like I wish I could record the entire time, and like I know we could get a GoPro and stuff, but it's just like everything. It's just anyways. But no, I don't know if we have the spitting. Sophia might have been recording. I don't think.
I was walking away, and I think this is why she did it. So no, she would definitely be put on blast if I had that. Someone said, "I'm sorry, but what is the purple-haired woman's IG page?"
It's just leftover. The word leftover.
Leftover. So it's my partner, Leftover. We're normally out doing the mutual aid shenanigans together. So follow her page for a very different perspective. Riot Phoenix just grabbed a tent from the front yard. I'm glad. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for delivering it. I'm tired. I got water today. I got so much water today. Thank you, everybody, for delivering water to the drop sites. Let's see.
Official Murdoch wrote, most of everyone out there I know was in the zone during the pandemic, no longer out there because of it. I haven't seen half of them. Yeah, there is definitely a common theme of never seeing people again when it comes to relationships on the streets. And a lot of people use pseudonyms or nicknames. And so we will never know about a lot of the people we never see again and whether or not they are still alive.
Yeah, sometimes you get surprised. Like, we've had people pop up out of nowhere and they look almost like a completely different person sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, actually. I've seen at least a handful of people who were out there years ago who are now back in the zone because homelessness is a very chronic issue. Do y'all have this recorded?
We already talked about that.
Oh, you did?
About the spitting.
Oh, that was the spitting.
Yeah.
I thought they meant the live. I've lost touch with so many people. I'll never see them again. Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder about it all the time, and it's scary.
You'll have to DM me, Ellie. My DMs are open.
By the way, the personal stories
and receipts I got out of Betty Guardado. I want the tea. Let me know.
Betty Guardado is unique because she is a city council member who's probably most closely related to the position that Carlos Garcia held, in the way that she is very much of the community in a way that a lot of other city council members aren't. And I think she's very much tried to make herself fit into a box of political likableness, if that makes any sense. And I hope that one day she hopes to branch back out and be more authentic, but we will see about that.
Talking about the salt packets right there.
Large amount of water ingested, especially in the heat, can cause issues. We have a Amazon wish list. It is available in the bio of Unsheltered Phoenix, and their hydration packets is what we pass out. So that is the best attempt to help people sort of replenish what is being lost in the constantly sweating process.
So this question over here on TikTok, what does it take to build more shelters? Honestly, I'm not interested in shelters, because we can't even meet people where they're fucking at right now. I'm really trying to focus on the bare minimum because we're not receiving it. We're criminalizing, we're removing shade structures, we're restricting water. The people that are in charge of the resources for the people that are on the streets don't see them as humans. That's what I've come to overwhelmingly see, is that they really see them as other. And it's terrifying, the power and control they have over people that need the bare minimum that we're not giving.
And that's not a silly question for this day. Thank you for bringing that up. We try to talk about it as much as possible. And honestly, if we hadn't had the relationships that we have now, then we might not know that shelters are generally pretty harmful, and a whole lot of othering and classism happening within those dynamics. So permanent housing is too expensive for most of these people, which is absolutely right. And also, we have every capacity. We have every capacity as a city, as a county, as a state, and definitely as a country to be building, mass housing complexes that make it so that everybody can have access to a roof over their head. I live a lot in imagining a new world, a new reality, a new system. And so I think we have to stay grounded in the fact that all of these things are possible if we chose to prioritize lives over profit.
I think Alicia has a really good question.
Alicia Pisha has a wonderful question here. Do you think the blue bins will stay accessible like they are today?
No. So this is what me first. So this is what I think is going to happen. I think that the moment that the bins break, because over like 800 plus people touch them every day, and some of them with mental health issues, they're going to say, we had to turn them off because people broke it. That's exactly what I think is going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Yay.
All of that. Yeah, that's going to happen. Or it's going to spring a leak, and then she's going to say, oh, well, it's wasting water. Yeah. And so thank you for asking that question. Thank you for keeping us grounded in it. Like, it is a small win to have the blue bin made accessible without armed guards, and also, like, don't hold your breath. And we welcome any brainstorming people have, any creative ideas to be providing people water in the future.
Shelters aren't safe. I'm seeing a combination of both. Kind of quarantine tits asked, are most of the unhoused in Phoenix from there, or were they bused from other cities? I've seen both. I've just a mixture of people. It just depends.
Phoenix is one of the most rapidly growing cities, and I think especially since COVID, you have how would you call it? We've talked about this before. An influx of people moving to inner cities.
What's the opposite of an exodus?
Yeah.
Here they come.
A move towards larger cities, and I think this has to do with the political polarization. I feel like rural areas are becoming more unsafe for Black and brown and poor people, but that is just a theory off the top of my head. We're doing such a great job this summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelby.
I appreciate the flowers.
All right. Official Murdoch says, everyone in office in general benefit off of people living on the streets. Yeah, it's just like all these contracts that are temporary for the shelters. And I mean, all the services for the people out there are contracted. So it's just very profitable.
Oh, and beyond that, it keeps people in line. The threat of being homeless really makes a lot of us grind in ways that we might never even entertain if we had access to a roof over our head and water consistently. So it's sort of like this overlooming threat constantly is you might become homeless. You don't want that. Look how poorly we treat the unhoused in our neighborhoods. You don't want to be associated with that. You better stay at your shit job that pays you $15 an hour for backbreaking work that is constantly dehumanizing.
That is true. Groovy Megan says, in the long run, permanent housing is a lower cost with better health, better quality of life, and better opportunities. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. And on that note, I want to talk a little bit about some of the harm that's come recently just from having people living outside constantly through this really dramatic heat wave. Larry, the gentleman who was taken away by paramedics when cops tried to stop us from giving ice to him, he suffered a heat stroke, and now his blood pressure is so high that they will not discharge him, and so he's been in the intensive care unit for
it's been at least a week.
It's been about a week now. And the intensive care, the ICU for one whole week is not cheap. That is not a figure to mess around with. That is something that could easily bankrupt people. And there is also the issue of the woman who put on the hoses that were cut in the photo that is circulating a lot in a video. She recently had a stroke since having put on those hoses. And my brother Romeo, he suffered a heat stroke year before last and suffered third-degree burns all over his body, and was also in the intensive care unit for quite a while. And so it's not cheap to have all of these emergencies happening, and we hear sirens happening all the time, constantly. We live near, the zone, and the sirens At least what? Sometimes
It's nonstop. I haven't even bothered because it's just like it's too much for me to keep up with. But it's nonstop. I'm not kidding. It's not like I'm sitting there waiting for my videos for a fucking cop. It's just like I'm filming and there's like there it goes. Like it's constant. I was like, if I had the capacity, maybe when AI is better, I'm like go through my videos and tag every single one with a fucking siren.
Oh yeah, AI can do that in the future.
I bet. And it's gonna be like I'm gonna have a pie graph that's pretty consistent. I'm pretty sure.
Well, and even talking to the local fire department, they have mentioned that it's multiple calls a day into the zone, and
the nurses who have told me that the people are flooding the ERs. So
and simultaneously you have this juxtaposition of the fire departments not being able to respond quickly enough, or 911 so much as not answering people's calls, and the heat exposure has a lot to do with that. I believe that we could save a lot of resources by just giving people basic dignity.
Let's see, Houston. They have a question about Houston.
I believe has begun a program directly to housing instead of shelters, and that Phoenix was looking into this idea.
I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that, but to be honest, I've lost a lot of hope when it comes to...
So what we just read off, somebody said Houston has this program that Phoenix might be looking into from like instead of shelters, it's housing, but we haven't heard it. Honestly, we are struggling to keep up with the ice.
Yeah.
And people dying around us, so we're not really keeping up with the media.
Yeah, holding personal relationships with people most impacted on the streets is not for the faint of heart, especially while there's so much suffering happening right now. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to get emotional.
I got a lot of comments on the TikTok. I'm gonna have to scroll up. Okay. Okay, let's. Poor Larry. Oh, I wanted to actually reference this one. So over here they said I didn't know that shelters had quotas. Everything has a quota. Like they have like time periods. A lot of them, like you have to be done now, or like through XYZ, and if you don't, you get kicked out. Sometimes they don't have paths to reentry. And when I'm done with my bachelor's, I will talk about this more because there's so much I've learned throughout this process.
Official Murdoch wants to rule the world and turn government buildings into shelters. And those buildings are big enough for it, yes.
A lot of empty buildings.
They're even right now, honestly, so many buildings are air conditioned and empty while so many people suffer outside.
Yeah. Why do the cops stop us from helping? Ego, power, control, patriarchy. Pick all of them.
This particular cop really targets us when we're in their zone. I think he has a chip on his shoulder and gets something out of it. That's the only short answer I have for that.
It's like if you guys watch that snippet of the live, like he was like arguing with me on the sidewalk when I'm perfectly able to be there. He just was like mad that I was there.
Yeah, he approaches us
challenging him
in a really personal way, like as if we have done something to him. And
which we have. We're challenging his power.
I guess so. I guess that.
It's something I'm very familiar with in the military. It's like we're challenging his power, and he's trying to do something about it, but he can't because that was life. You can scroll. I'll scroll here. Pallet shelters and micro homes have helped immensely with providing shelter. Granted, it's temporary. That's something that we kind of want to do. Is if like we have this dream that if we ever have a property big enough, we'll build tiny homes or tiny shelters, tiny something that will put something over somebody. You know,
what is the most important thing right now is shade, and people are so consistently removed from public shade, from ADOT spaces under the highways to trees on restaurant properties to easement spaces all around the city, to building shade. There's something called shade hopping, where the sun will actually, of course, move its position during the day, and people will have to hop around to different places in order to be in the shade in relationship to the sun. The average temp you'll expect daily, all of next week we are hitting 115, so we will be giving out ice.
Yeah, I haven't been busting out the little gun, but like when the temperatures are that high, the asphalt's easily reaching like 160, 165. So that's like we're cooking eggs. We're cooking on the street.
Cob structures is a comment here. That would be amazing. We're open to anything really. Cob and pallet structures. Yeah, if the problem is like these are skills that need to be learned, and so if there is a group that y'all recommend or somebody that has done it close by in Phoenix, definitely open to that. The problem, of course, is space. We're renting. We don't have a place that we own, so the probability of losing housing or losing access to that rental, and then having a structure like Cobb that is very labor intensive and a little bit expensive, it would go to waste. We're actually in the process of losing our housing now. So,
yeah. Let's see. The heat is no joke. The heat exposure. The average temp, we're hitting consistently 110 degrees for 31 days in Phoenix. We had a break of, what was that, 3 days?
Yeah, we had a 3-day break under 110.
Yeah, it was like 106, 107, 109 today, and it's going to be like 114, 115 tomorrow. How is Romeo now? Yeah, absolutely. So Romeo is our brother. You guys see me talk about him sometimes. I don't really post his face still, even though he really wants to be on camera, let me tell you.
Yeah, he used to model, so I think there will be a future where you will see a lot more of Romeo.
If we ever housing secure for sure and stable, like maybe we'll like strut him out.
Yeah, he wants to be front and center. So he's doing great. He's mad at me because I told him to stop eating so many popsicles because y'all have been sending popsicles through the wish list, and he has been going hard on them. So in a little bit of a disagreement right now, but other than that, he's doing well. Thank you for asking.
All right, they send cops to the zone and paramedics and firefighters too. So yeah, that's an ongoing thing that I've been fighting with my trolls, is that here in Phoenix, it was only, I don't even know if I have it on audio, but I wasn't recording. I was speaking to a firefighter the other day who like admitted it to me that they recently, within the last few years, started going to the zone because of several incidences.
Yeah, there was a couple explanations about how they were surrounded in certain situations and it made them uncomfortable. The situation with Phoenix police following them on every single call has been going for just over a year now. I believe a year and a couple months. And I am so against it. I think it really deters people from calling because you've heard a lot of shit that these security guards will, do to people and inflict on people with their power. Cops are 10 times worse. And so to have them present in people's medical emergencies is one of the worst things City of Phoenix could do, especially in an opioid crisis like we're in right now.
Yeah, it's like all these people that are out there with trauma from the police, and then there they are, and they like in the pictures that were on Unsheltered Phoenix, like literally they're just like fucking strutting their shit like cowboys. Like, what the fuck are you doing out here?
They're flexing,
yeah. They're flexing on people in their worst fucking time. They're living outside in 115-degree heat. Fuck off.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Agreed, all of that. Riot Phoenix, I have a graphic that shows it's 104 outside. It's 161 on the blacktop. Yeah, actually really recommend people, if you have any type of media presence, to go ahead and just purchase a cheap heat gun. It is a thermometer that will measure surface temperatures, and it is really helpful to have other folks echoing this message of how hot these surfaces actually get, especially when people who are unhoused are often relegated to be on the floor. So you can only imagine the transference of heat when you're constantly on top of something that reaches 140, 150, 160 degrees regularly.
And that's why the ice was such a big deal, because like when you're consistently over those temperatures, even coming down for like an hour or two by using the ice in any way is like very beneficial for the fucking human living experience.
Yeah, we don't really post it, but so many people just run to the van and are so grateful for the ice. Run. Yeah, please don't run. Please don't exert yourself. But we do run out of ice, so there is that dynamic of scarcity. The ice really, really helps people. We've heard from a few different people that the ice will actually stay cold or stay ice in their cooler for throughout a whole nother day. So we feel like we're doing something really worthwhile there. And thank you so much to everybody contributing and really spreading the word. I tried to always echo this message, like spread the word, even if you cannot donate, because we need more people talking about these things in their regular life. And it helps increase the donor pool as well, so that we could continue to sustain these efforts.
I think the biggest and best thing that I always see is people saying that you, like Wheatley or Sophia, have inspired them to do stuff, whether it pass out water or just talk to their family or something. So that's like just doing things is the best thing, honestly, to support me specifically.
Facts. Yeah. A lot of times people will ask, what is the best way to help? What is the best thing? What is the thing most needed, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, what we really need is other people going out and distributing frozen water bottles, or even pick up a few bags of ice while you're at the gas station or, a convenience store. To hand out ice in your area is so important. A lot of people will focus on the zone because it receives so much media attention, but
we live right next to it, so that's why
it's very much our area. But really encourage folks to go around in your own area, and please do not go alone, and please ask questions. I'm very, very happy and responsive to answer any of that.
I do want to respond to this one. So this person says, I work with the SMI unhoused population, and most of the clients are going in inpatient rather than be in the heat. And that's something that I'll tell you a little bit about Phoenix, because there's so many people that are not willing still. Like, people did take shelter today. Obviously, my veteran friend who was like who had a seizure during that whole process today, took shelter. But not everybody. There's still people out there that, because of their experiences, we talked about our friend with the puppies, and they didn't want to be out there. They had already gone through the experience of shelters.
Someone asked, is land expensive in that area? Land is very, very expensive in the city of Phoenix. We had, I think, the second most dramatic increase in housing costs and real estate costs over the last few years, right under Miami, Florida. And so it is really just not attainable for us to purchase a piece of land at this moment. But fingers crossed.
All right, let's catch up on Instagram. Right, Phoenix gave us hearts. Right, Phoenix says, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she mentioned that she was at ASU. She was part of a project to get cops out of the zone 5 years ago. Didn't work.
Right. Yeah. And doing things through the system is just so slow. And I hate to think about the number of lives that have passed in that time, in that space.
Official Murdoch is motivated to keep going and not quit. That's good.
Thank you. Same.
So somebody were talking about their flexing on the homeless. I think we're a couple things back.
Yeah, sorry. It's huge. The ice is so necessary. Thank you.
All right, here, this is a good question.
I'm sorry I couldn't make it earlier. Is there an existing list of demands related to the HSC situation and for District 7? If so, could someone share? Thank you so much, Hi, it's Bree. I appreciate you asking that question. There is not, because District 7 is at this point completely tuned out to anything we're saying. For a while, her and her office were trying to respond and counteract our narrative. At this point, they've completely given up, and this is partially why the blue bin has stayed so inaccessible for so long, is because Yasmin really just gave up on situations in the zone. It wasn't until press was going to pick up the story about the blue water bin being restricted that she felt compelled to act in any way. But now, if you missed the beginning, that blue water bin is moved and is no longer guarded in the same way. So that is a small one for us. And please, please, please do not thank Yasmin and do not like her posts, because this was not her effort. This is not her win. This is very much our efforts and our wins. And I don't mean it us as in us too, but all of us on this call and all of us who have been working to put pressure.
All the people that freaking called Amy. All right. I'm behind on the TikTok, so I'm just going to skip everything. there's too many questions.
Right. Phoenix wanted to say, and talk to your houseless neighbors and smile at them and ask them how they're doing. This is how relationships are formed, guys. This is how we form relationships with each other, and it is no different for unhoused people. Please talk to them. Right across the street. Wait, what?
Yeah. Steven, what's happening across the street? Sorry, I just I saw a message on my TikTok and it seems like something's happening over at the West Side Pantry. What's going on? While he's typing out, we'll answer something. Yeah, so I saw a live from my friend Chronically Herbal that says Amanda is live with a raid across the street. Heart face, sunglasses, heart. So I don't think the emojis are a part of it. Okay. All right, so we'll answer questions while that we're looking at that.
I hope everything is okay at the Red Heart Pantry. While we're on that topic, the Red Heart Pantry is a really amazing resource. It is an outdoor fridge, outdoor clothing closet, outdoor library, and just overall resource center on the west side, right off of 57th Ave and Indian School. And if you haven't been there yet, and you have to go out of your way to go visit it, I would absolutely recommend it if you can afford the gas. Just go stop by and see how freaking cool it is, because there's so much love and attention and sharing and community building put into that space. It is really amazing. I will pin one of their posts with the address to it to the bio for folks in the future.
Okay. All right, let me see if I can see some questions on here. Oh, one of our followers is saying, I've been doing this for the last year in Glendale because of you guys. My husband and I are working on getting the funds to purchase land to share with the unsheltered. It's a 3-year plan. You want to tell us a little more, Lauren?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Oops, I just scrolled off, so all the questions are gone. All right. Where is the zone? The zone is situated at 12th Avenue in Madison in downtown Phoenix.
8th through 13th Avenues, right off of Jefferson.
How much does a van full of ice cost? Is it any less expensive in bulk? I've been wondering.
So yeah, someone just asked about ice right here too, so we'll go over that. We buy it from Costco. We buy it by the pallet. It is not any price reduction because it is already the cheapest price by far. It is just about $2.40 a bag, and it is for a 16-pound bag. So 16 pounds for $2.40 is a huge deal, and this is what we pass out, one per person, to people in the zone. It is over double what is available at the Circle K's for about 30% less of the price.
Are there any independent street reporters out there? Honestly, I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't follow, and I follow the major media here just to keep tabs on what the fuck they're saying, but I'm not following any of the independent journalists myself.
I haven't found any that are really radical. I've been really, really, really disappointed with the media coverage, and it has a lot to do with a lot of these editors and big name press being completely pro City of Phoenix and very hesitant to publish anything critical about the City of Phoenix. I cannot say it enough how much press has failed the people in the zone and how dehumanizing they've consistently been.
I'm pretty sure I'm following Unicorn Riot, and nobody from there has spoken to me. I got interviewed once 2 years ago, and I did not enjoy how they cut up what I said, and ever since then I've not given a fucking interview, and I also don't like what they say about me without consulting me, so all the media can...
Yeah, but if someone really cool like Unicorn Riot ever wanted to talk to us, that'd be...
Yeah, no, these are for the mainstream medias that are fucking misquoting me and making up shit.
Yeah, they lied about the burned fetus in the zone. No one bothered to fact check it. They lied before, they posted Larry, who was accused of burning a man alive in the dumpster. They posted his face everywhere when he, in fact, did not commit that crime.
Thank you.
Somebody asked, I'm joining an effort to help trap, neuter, and release, rescue some cats and kittens in the zone. There's a lot of people who feed those cats. So yes, please, thank you for your service in that space.
Any advice? Oof.
Ice, fresh water, and sunscreen. I would really coordinate with the woman who is out there every day around, I want to say around 5:30 to 6:30. There's a woman who goes and just really, really tries to care for those cats by feeding them daily, is what I've seen. Yeah. So I would try to connect with her.
Yeah, and see what she's doing. All right, so someone mentioned pails of ice from Costco. That's where we're buying them from. Is it easier to send money? Yeah, it would be, because we have to call ahead and purchase them. Like I call like 1 hour before I go, because sometimes the Costco's don't have enough. Yeah.
And once again, a plug. It is always good to have, extra funds on our end, and also if it means doing your own thing versus sending us funds, please do your own thing. Please buy ice in your neck of the woods and pass it out directly. Thank you, Official Murdoch, for all of your insight. I appreciate you.
Are they heading up?
Yes.
Bye, Murdoch. For my TikTok people, don't give me gifts. I'm not in any of the funds. It's like I get like pennies on this shit that I'm never going to cash out. Like, if you want to really give me water, send $5 to Radical Community Care.
Okay, so Riot Phoenix said the cat lady's name is Tammy.
Oh, so I didn't know that. Tammy.
There's that. Somebody asked, have we contacted Ready Ice? Yes, we have. And it is actually a little bit more complicated than just setting up an account. They don't have set delivery times, and we are pretty consistent with our times to go during the hottest part of the day to distribute ice. And so I do not think Ready Ice would be a good fit for us at this time, but maybe one day we'll have a walk-in freezer and we can store ice to be distributed later.
Venmo shouldn't charge you. It's a personal account. You can just send it or cash out.
How can I donate for ice and other heat relief? Venmo Unsheltered Phoenix or Radical Community Care. We really, really appreciate it. And the folks who are living outside really, really appreciate it.
So it's Radical Community Care on Venmo, on Cash App, and also Radical Community Care at PayPal.com. I don't have a Zelle. I'm done adding apps. Have I read a book? No, I haven't read a book in a very long time. Have you read that book?
What is it?
Have you read The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelapsby, Ursula Le Guin?
No, I have not read this book. I'm assuming you're recommending it. Is there any way to do a recurring monthly donation? No.
Isn't that possible through PayPal, I'm pretty sure?
We've been exploring things, and honestly, we're just kind of hit by the severity of this summer, so a lot of things are falling by the wayside, and hopefully we'll have more information on how to contribute in that way soon.
I was looking into it, but like Patreon takes a huge cut, and I'm just not willing, and we'll figure it out at some point, but I'll try to set up an easier method for people that are trying to do monthly donations. Prefer Zelle. Heat Dome for the win. Patreon. Yeah, it takes 20%. Patreon takes 20%. That's ridiculous. There's other services, but like Patreon's the most popular one. All right. Okay, we're caught up. Oh, we're caught up.
Questions.
Damn. All right, did we miss a question? Now's your chance to ask again.
Riot wants Christy YCMP. DM me your info.
They're talking to the person that wants to speak to the cat person.
Yes, please connect. Also, Riot is amazing. If you are not following Riot Phoenix yet, please go ahead and follow Riot Phoenix, because they hold a lot of relationships, and that really is what makes us so helpful to other people. Is we hold relationships. We talk to them and listen to them and help echo their needs and their insight. So Riot Phoenix is one of the few groups who actually consistently hold relationships with people out there.
Yeah. It's like they're one of the few ones that I'll actually recommend that you go like check out and volunteer.
Is there any advocating with actual city officials?
Do you want to talk about like when we actually tried to do that, or
Miss Phoenix 4020 events? You know what? It is a sore subject because we have spent a lot of time trying to work within the system to try to get things done. Definitely, I think everyone has their own road to go down. I am very, very anti-Yasmin. I'm sorry, because at this point it is personal. At this point, I've seen enough dead bodies, and I have had my friends, harmed and even passed away. So I I will not be attempting that again. But we tried to talk to her, and she really just blew us off. She had this arrogance that I couldn't believe, especially since we are not paid to do this work. She really just came at us with a tone that was completely disrespectful, with all of the disregard. So that is the story of my disdain for Yasmin Ansari.
Yeah, honestly, it's like I'm just from my experience in the military, I'm just so over all these people that in the way that they act and the way that they're all tied up by red tape when people's lives, people are dying. People are dying. Fuck all of you.
Not all of you.
Them.
All
Sorry.
of them.
You know what I mean.
And I want to take a minute to say that we each have our own road to go down. I used to be a liberal. I wasn't always super anti-police. I wasn't always, so radical. It wasn't until I actually started speaking to people who lived outside and holding those relationships that I was radicalized by the amount of disregard and just fascism when it comes to unhoused people. Thank you for the short story recommendation. I did write it down, so I am going to check it out. Lefty probably will not, but I will relay information.
I'll since it's a short story, I'll put it in the AI and I ask for the synopsis.
Somebody asked, is there any good resources for stray animals?
Arizona Pet Project?
Arizona Pet Project is not so much a resource for stray animals, but it is worth noting that the amount of stray animals right now is really a product of our housing crisis. There have been more dogs released onto the streets than I think maybe more than any point in history, because people are struggling to afford places, and there was a market for stray animals for puppies and breeding, where that market has really fallen off. So if you know somebody who is still participating in that practice, please make them aware that that should no longer be a thing.
So Miss Phoenix 420 event said again, yes, I totally understand. We get treated like this way too, but we will try on our end to make advocating possible. And I like what they're saying here, because like I personally can't do everything. I want y'all to know, and I'm not ashamed to take credit for this, that my body fucking hurts because I'm slinging water, I'm slinging ice, I'm fucking lifting weights because I'm good at that. I'm not good at anything else. I don't want to do anything else but throw weights around. So you advocating, Miss Phoenix 420, perfect, because you know what? I get so mad once they start saying the red tape, I can't do this. I'm like, fuck you, just fucking do it. So it's obviously not for me.
So on that note, there is a park that is shaded and watered and grassed directly across from the zone. It is right off of, between Washington and Jefferson, right off of, I believe, 10th through 12th Avenues. You can't miss it. It is Carnegie Library Park, and it is maintained by Prison Labor Weekly. And we tried to pressure Yasmin Ansari into opening that, and she said her hands were tied. Never mind that hundreds of people are dying on the streets of Phoenix. This is the most ridiculous thing, because you can see it. You can see it from this space where so many people are suffering, where they're struggling to get shade in any type of way, and they're not allowed to use it, and no one else is using it too, which is probably the most important detail here. No one has used that park in years. As far as the pet thing, I can put a call out. So anyone who's looking for resources there, please message me on Unsheltered Phoenix, and I will put it to the stories and see what other information comes in, and we can very much act as a connector for stray pet resources.
So I wish I could explain to you guys. I like for those of you that have been out there, like Riot Phoenix and stuff, like looking at all these green spaces with these fucking fences around them, and then the orange uniforms of the prison labor as they are the only ones ever on the property, while literally across the street I have seen so many people die. I am losing my shit. I'm losing my shit.
Yeah, we sometimes really lose our shit, and we lose our composure, and we yell. I've yelled at Scott Hall, who's, I think, the director of human services for City of Phoenix today. Lefty really, yelled at a security guard who was trying to intimidate us in the zone for trying to help our friend. This work is hard, and our anger is righteous.
Well, I actually do want to talk about that a little bit further because I didn't even realize this at the time because of how mad I was. So what had happened was that the guy approached me and I didn't have anywhere to go because I was backed up against the chains and poles that are in the zone. So this dude with the weapons and shit is approaching me, telling me that I have to leave while I was actively helping my friend move. And I screamed at him, "Get the fuck away from me. You are intimidating me." And he continued forward. I had nowhere to go, so I'm just screaming at him because I have nothing else. What else am I going to do? I'm not going to pepper spray him. That's going to go terribly for me. And so, unfortunately, me, because I don't think well in these situations, my friend that I was helping starts screaming at him too because he wants to support me. Except my friend is an elder that suffers from seizures.
When stressed out.
And so he starts yelling at the guy, "Leave my family member alone. Leave her alone. She lives here with me," because get him to leave me alone. And he sits down and has one of those seizures where you're just sitting there, because he has seizures when he has fucking stress. And this is the shit we're going through. This is the shit we're going through continuously. I've seen him have multiple fucking seizures, not just because of me yelling, just because he's out there. And the first time I ever met him, I talked about it a long time ago. Longtime followers will remember him. He fell out because he was getting pushed. He was getting displaced. He had to move all his shit, and the stress led to a seizure.
He was being swept off of Grand Avenue, and he had a seizure from the stress. So, yeah, it can be really difficult to maintain composure, especially while people, more impacted around you could have, negative consequences as a result. So we try to really save those moments of yelling for when people, who are unhoused currently are not around.
And that's hard to do. That's how I react. Some people shut down. I, through my trauma, react in an explosive manner when I'm being threatened like that. So it's just like we have to also, that's what, sometimes you see people reacting. I can't do anything, so I'm exploding outwards. Get away from me.
Yeah.
And that was like something I had to sit with afterwards. I was like,
A lot of us have trauma with men too, so that can easily be compounded. I do want to go back to somebody who said, if you get arrested, I'll bail you out.
Oh, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, because that's a good thing at some point.
Yeah, honestly, like you guys have seen me screaming that I'm about to end up on Yasmin's doorstep because I don't know what else to do. It's like I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, they're not just words. We get really desperate after seeing so much suffering and having so many friends go through so much. They're doing the same thing down here in Tucson. It's not as bad as Phoenix, but I've heard that. And what's happening at Pima County Jail is really atrocious. We're seeing people pass away like all the time. So go follow No Jail Deaths, I believe, is the one who is putting out information on that. And then there's another Tucson account. Feel free to drop them in here, Angel.
Don't cry. It's like I cry enough for both of us.
It's okay to cry too.
Wait, are you still wanting and accepting cans for Larry? I believe so, yes?
Yes, if you are in the area of 7th Ave and Thomas. If you are not, please leave them at a bus stop in a poor neighborhood so that we are not spending also gas resources.
That's a good point.
On connecting Larry to these cans.
If you put cans out in the like wherever your like alley area is, typically they will disappear because people are going through looking for cans.
Same thing in the Bay Area, except our climate doesn't ever get above 89. Yeah, it's actually happening in every corner of the country, and I really believe that this is where Kate Gallego and Yasmin Ansari are getting their confidence, is they're mimicking city policies like this, except for these places never have the dramatic heat waves that we have, and so it's just really manifesting in tons of people dying. And I hope and pray that one day, Kate Gallego will have to be answerable for this, and her protege, Yasmin Ansari, as well, will have to be answerable to all of this harm and death that have manifested as a result of their failed leadership.
Right, Phoenix, if you get arrested, I will bail you out.
Let's all just bail each other out. Let's just come through for each other because it is not hard to get arrested.
So the can person that asked you the question is nearby.
Okay, cool. Yes, please message me if you need the message or the address for the cans. I appreciate it.
Oh gosh, we're scrolled up. Yeah, the guard was like pressuring me because he's like, "You don't live out here." I was like, "You don't know me."
Yeah.
Like, you might know me, but you don't know. Next time I'll be like, I got kicked out of my housing. Now I'm unhoused.
We are not currently unhoused, but it is definitely a struggle to find a place where 4 dogs are allowed to be. So send us any cool landlords you know, but that might not be a thing.
Props to my moderator. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience.
Thank you, moderator. Appreciate you.
All right. It's awful. Yes, we said yes to Garimer.
We're speaking about Phoenix. Yes, we don't have any experience outside of Phoenix.
Is the zone in the center of Phoenix? No, not necessarily right in the center.
It is. It was an industrial area, so they put this homeless services area in this corner of the city that doesn't get a lot of traffic, but it's actually right in the Capitol area. It is a part of the Capitol Mall overlay. That is another conversation for another day.
So it's like it used to be in the industrial area, like she just said about the borders, and it's like now because the area is so like gentrified and a lot of money's been put into it, they want the zone out.
Yeah, the property values will skyrocket once the zone is completely displaced. You've actually seen some properties listed for sale and some properties increased in price as soon as the zone started being displaced.
There should be a pin page or link for bailing all of you out. We haven't gotten there yet. Oh, no.
Yeah, Zachariah, don't jump the gun, my friend.
Maybe we should start planning. No, I mean, honestly, it's like me and Sophia have talked about this back and forth so much. It's like, how does escalation look for us? Because what do you do at this point?
Well, yeah, we're a lot of brainstorming.
Honestly, District 7's lucky that they fixed the bin today because I was on a leg. I was like, I don't know. It's like I was losing my shit. It's like, what else can we do to make this escalate? Because it's a crisis.
One of the most difficult things is hearing about her environmental activism while so many people actively suffer right now because of her failed leadership. Are people still moving en masse to Phoenix? Yes. Phoenix is growing.
The market isn't as crazy as it was maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but it's calming down a little bit. About me losing my housing, we kind of always knew that was on the table. So honestly, I'm just glad that he did it with a little bit of like time. We have 2 months.
It was also very blatantly anti-homeless. Yeah. He references that in his text messages. We're losing our housing for having homeless people on the property, which is not even true. We have a water station out front that is accessed by the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. So looking for support there probably in the future, but.
Right now, I'm just asking, like, I'm working with a realtor and I'm asking if anybody actually is a landlord and who wants to work with me. You know where my DMs
are. Someone sent us nice words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Try me.
Have my babies? All right. Somebody wants to have somebody's babies.
Thank you for love, prayers, and strength. I appreciate it.
All right, over here, they're just talking about Phoenix. Somebody's cluing in quarantine tits. I love that name.
Yeah.
All right. I think I saw another question here. What is that? Don't send stuff to TikTok. All right. I think we answered all the questions there.
Environmental activism, my ass. If you can blindly ignore people dying every day, you are not any sort of fucking activist. Agreed. Hey, I'm ready to throw hands if a third turn men put their mitts on you. Do you post somewhere as to where you confront situations like the blue water tank? Do you post somewhere as to when you confront situations like the blue water
I don't think we ever really planned shit. It's just kind of like we react. Like I'm never expecting all these like human rights violations. I just show up to the zone and they're happening. I'm like, whoa.
Don't really plan for these things. But you can follow our personal pages. Sometimes it's in the stories there. I'm standing in the dirt and leftovers. I am really good at posting every single thing that I'm doing that has to do with mutual aid, and sometimes even more. But I almost post almost exclusively all the mutual aid shit I'm doing. And if you're into that, like I'll post when shit's happening in the zone. So it was more calm during the winter. It's definitely been escalated since the summer started. Thank you, everyone, for all these questions and engagement. I appreciate it so much. We're probably going to have another live soon. It will probably not be in Sheltered Phoenix because we're trying to move. I'm trying to make a Sheltered Phoenix more of a community resource and less about me centered in any type of way. So if you want to engage with me, if you have questions, I'm very, very approachable for questions. There are no stupid questions. I used to be a liberal. I used to have the idea that we needed to, be friends with our government.
I used to say I'm a liberal, like completely unironically.
Yes.
Completely unironically. I would go back and punch myself right now. I'm like, fuck you.
That's okay. There's room to grow, and it really starts with listening to people most impacted. So if y'all have questions, feel free to reach out. There's no stupid questions. My personal handle on Instagram is Standing in the Dirt. And
are we wrapping it up?
And we are wrapping it up.
Okay. All right. Any last minute questions? Too bad. Send them to the DMs. I'll answer them there.
Riot said, "Winter, what's that?" Thank you.
And thank you. A thousand thanks to Quarantine Tits, my moderator on TikTok, because the last time I went live, it was awful.
Yeah, lots of trolls out there.
All right. Thank you for listening, and just keep an eye. We're just going to keep doing what we do and reacting. And I guess we'll try to do something proactively. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. This is my problem. Is I never know how to stop it. Where's the stop button?
Okay. Don't mind our bloopers here. We're trying to figure out how to...
Unstable connection. How do you stop it? Where's the stop button?
I just accept it.
Swipe left to close. All right. Oh, there's a button. There it is. Don't laugh at me. I feel so old. I'm 37.
I want to end your